You're watching Straight to the Point on Coastal Bend Today. I'm your host, William J. Gibbs Jr., and I have here with me real estate broker Rick Gomez. Rick, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Rick, what company are you with?
Gomez Properties.
Gomez Properties. So it's your own company?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell me a little bit about you and your background in real estate.
Okay. My grandmother started me in real estate. She's been in it for over 60 years as an investor, so she buys properties and leases them out. That's what she does now. She's in her 80s, but she still does it. When I was young, she would take me along with her to go pick up rents, to go check on the properties, and that led me to start thinking that that would be a way that I would want to make my career and invest. So in 2006 is whenever I got my real estate license, and I got my license primarily to purchase real estate. And then after a few years in being in the business, I decided to shift over to helping sales.
So tell me now, with the sales and that, the buying and the selling, what are the current market conditions here in our area, Corpus Christi and the Coastal Bend specifically?
Okay. So we have the MLS. MLS is the multiple listing service, and what we do is we close out properties in the MLS. What that means is whenever we have a sale, we put it in there. And the MLS reports also are sent out to various entities. One of those entities is the Texas A&M Real Estate Center. So it's a free service, and the Texas A&M Real Estate Center lists all those statistics as far as the details of the market, determining whether it's hot or whether it's slow. So when we pull our most recent numbers, we usually have the 2 or 3 months back. So our most recent report was in October. We don't have November just yet, but we'll get it shortly. The numbers we're looking at when it comes to whether or not a real estate market is hot or whether it's good or bad is we're looking at consistent sales. We're not necessarily looking at it being good for the buyer or for the seller by themselves, but an average between the two. The first number that we're looking at is how many homes were sold every month. So how many homes were sold in October 2019, 18, 17, etc. back. The other number we're looking at is the average price and the median sales price. Another number we're looking at is the total number of homes that are on the market that are available to purchase. And a final and extremely important number is our average months of inventory. And what that basically is how many months does it take to go through all of the inventory once. So looking at all of those numbers of 2019 and comparing them to 18 and to 17, we find that the market is very similar to 17 and 18. In other words, we haven't seen any sharp peaks nor any sharp depressions. And what that means for us as a real estate center in Nueces County, etc., is that we're in a slightly above average balanced market. Whereas 6 months on the market would be, or the average inventory would be considered balanced, we're trending between 5.2 and 5.4. In layman's terms, what that essentially means is that homes are selling rapidly. We're selling 400 to 600 every single month, depending on the season, of course. It's an opportunistic market for buyers and for sellers, and it's considered above average.
So it wouldn't be a market for buyers over sellers or sellers over buyers. Both of them have an equal opportunity in this market at this point.
It's very seesawed. It's very leveled. If you look at 2008, 9, and 10, during our crash, it was a strong buyer's market because of the fact that there were so many foreclosures that property values were sharply depreciating. Our average, just to give you an indicator, our average month in the market, we're at 5.2 now. Back then it was trending towards 11, 12, 13 months on the market before you would see the inventory move through.
So the houses were sitting.
They were sitting, which is great for buyers. I represented a lot of investors during that time. We flipped homes because we could get homes for a great price. Now we have 2,500 homes total on the market. Back then we had 3,800. The inventory was glutted. It was terrific for buyers, bad for sellers. What we're finding right now is it is very balanced.
So what about for renters? What's the situation like for them right now?
So there are a lot of rental properties. Corpus Christi is somewhat notorious, unfortunately, for having bad credits, bad credit issues. So since that happens, most people with bad credit can't purchase, but they can still rent. So there are a lot of renters in Corpus Christi, and as such, there's also a lot of rental homes. Not a ton of selection when you're looking at 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garages under $1,500. We do find that what a person pays in rent right now is usually several $100s more than a person would pay for a mortgage, including principal and interest and taxes. So it's actually slightly more affordable to purchase right now than it is to rent.
So a 3-2 with a 2-car garage would be roughly $1,500, you said?
For rent. And it all depends on the square footage. So there's a rule of thumb, and they say it's about $1 per square foot. So if you get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage on the south side, and it's about 1,300 to 1,500 square feet, you're looking at about $1,300 to $1,500 a month.
You have two main choices when considering billboard advertising: digital billboards and static billboards. Both sign types are great for building brand awareness. For the purpose of this video, we'll just be talking about digital billboards. At Blip, you pay each time your ad is displayed, as opposed to a long-term contract. On average, the ad displays for 8 seconds. We'll call this a blip. The cost of a blip can vary, but on average is around 10 cents. What changes the cost from blip to blip? Location, timing, and sign availability can all affect the price of your blip. But at the end of the day, billboards are great tools for building brand awareness and recognition.
What is the outlook for 2020 and perhaps beyond for our area?
So we have a lot of growth. I know that we've been trending very strongly towards the south side, London school districts, etc. And we see homes going up in the 400s to 600s out there. Builders are a strong indicator of what the market is doing. They're investors too. They're not speculating. They build based upon what the inventory suggests that they can build and what we as brokers suggest that they build. So what that says to me, and what that should say to the economy as well, is that there's confidence, that we believe that we're continuing to grow, that the population is growing rapidly, that the homes will be available for people that can afford 400 to 600, which is not everybody. Considering that the average sales price in Corpus Christi is $225,000, 400 to 450 is right where the luxury market actually begins. As long as we have luxury homes being built, then the confidence is strong in the real estate economy that we're going to continue growing.
So for that 400 to 600,000, one could get a lot of home for the money, couldn't they?
Quite a bit right now. It all depends on the area, of course. A lot of the homes that we're seeing go up, this is Texas, they have land. They have an acre, they have half an acre. So you end up paying a little bit for that land as well, a little bit less for the home. We're looking at, for brand new homes, anywhere from $120 to $160 a square foot is pretty much considered average. So when you're looking at about a 400 to 600,000 house, you're looking at roughly 2,500 to 3,500 in square footage.
So that's a good sized house.
Pretty decent for most families, right? Yes.
So you were talking about the London School District. Would you say that that's the hottest area of Corpus Christi right now, or is there an even hotter area for residential growth?
Based on schools, that's one of the hottest ones, high school. Based on the area in general, I'd say the south side in general is a hot area. And part of that is because it's the only direction we can grow. We can't go to the ocean, obviously. We're boundaried by the ranches on one side. So it really is only the direction of the south and portions of the north that we can grow to. When you're talking north, you're thinking Calallen, Annabelle, etc. And for some people, that's a little bit too far to be close to the hub of Corpus. So I would say by far the fastest growing area is the south side, on the south side of Saratoga.
Okay. Now, what about commercial? I know you don't deal primarily in commercial, but what's the hottest areas for growth for commercial right now?
Okay, so with commercial, you're looking at a few different types. You're looking at industrial, you're looking at retail, and you're looking at office. So for instance, the office we're in would be considered one venue for commercial. There are quite a few vacancies. There's a lot available. The market has a way of balancing itself out. So again, commercial owners, sellers, tend to be more seasoned and a little bit more knowledgeable when it comes to their product than residential investors. I say this because the numbers are what matters specifically for commercial. In residential, there's a lot more emotion involved for what people want based upon beauty, based upon the looks. The commercial market, in this case, industrial, we have quite a bit of it. You think Leopard, you think Way Out Weber, that kind of thing. Office, I think we have a bit of a glut, to be honest. There's a lot available. You think the former Near Life building, which is Clayburg now, Star Credit Union, all of those buildings along Staples. You're looking at that. You want to see a saturation rate of a certain percentage. And right now we're looking at a slightly higher vacancy rate than we would like to see. It's good for the person, the leasee in this case.
So they got a lot to pick from.
Correct.
But as far as the commercial real estate agents, they got too much inventory on their hands right now.
It would seem that way. And again, it's not a number that's given out by the Texas A&M Real Estate Center, and that's not something that I professionally do on a day-to-day basis. So I couldn't speak to that as authoritatively as I could with residential.
With Wix, you can create a professional website that looks stunning. Just go to Wix.com. You can update it and keep it fresh whenever you want. I like changing up the background. It instantly gives my site a whole new look. I constantly add new photos. Here are some of my latest, which I love. Let people find you online. Wix SEO Whiz helps you grab those top search results. It looks amazing.
And as far as outside of Corpus Christi, maybe like Nueces County, even the surrounding counties, what's the hot residential area right now?
A lot of people like Calallen. It's just, there's more space in some cases. The terrain is very interesting. It's less crowded. I think a lot of people like that. We take things for granted because we live in Corpus, so we don't have those hour-long commutes that people in Austin and San Antonio do. So for us, even 20 minutes sometimes seems like too much. But for people that are moving in from out of city or out of state, 20 minutes is nothing, 20 to 30 minutes. And Calallen provides a lot of choices for people in that effect. So I would say that's one of the fastest growing areas outside of the south side.
So Calallen, And as far as commercial, outside of Corpus Christi here, is there any area that's really hot right now?
I couldn't say so. I could not authoritatively say that that one area is hot for commercial.
So, investment-wise, because they always talk about real estate being the best investment because they don't make any more land and people always need a place to live. Where should investors in Corpus Christi and the Coastal Bend be putting their money if they wanted to put it into real estate?
So I read recently that 82% of all millionaires began in real estate, and that's certainly an indicator that real estate is a great place to put it. That type of real estate, it varies. Of course, it goes in commercial and residential. So it depends on what type of investor we're looking at. If you're looking at a commercial investor, obviously there's one type. If you're looking for a residential investor, someone who's buying single-family homes, maybe not necessarily multifamily, opinions vary. Obviously, everyone's got a preference. My personal favorite is single-family homes. I've sold 2 fourplexes in the last month. Some people really like multifamily, and they like that. If you are trying to get the highest return for your money and the lowest turnover, then you're looking at that 322 that I mentioned before. It's basically the holy grail of real estate. It's that home that everybody wants, that everybody at least wants a 322 as their basic. In Corpus right now, we have about 7 homes under 170,000 that are 322s that are on the south side. That number, whenever I first got started, was considerably less. As you can imagine, 15 years ago, we were buying very nice 322s for 100,000. So it's gone up to 70,000 in almost 10 years, almost doubled in value. Because of that, we can continue to predict that it'll continue to double in value. If someone was to buy one of those $150,000 to $175,000 single-family homes today, we might see in about 10 years that they would be worth about $225,000 to $250,000.
So how could someone, like you said, 82% of all millionaires started in real estate. How could someone get started in real estate investing?
By far, the best way to get started in real estate investing is simply to buy a home and live in it. There's a book by David Bach, B-A-C-H. It's called The Automatic Millionaire Homeowner, and he advocates for that. He says it's simply purchasing a home, the best interest rate that you can get, that's fixed for 30 years. Right now it's very low, somewhere between 3 and 4% is the bottom. And then continuing to make those payments as it continues to appreciate. The average appreciation rate in Corpus Christi over the last 30 years has been about 4.5%. So the home is continuing to appreciate at almost 5% per year in value, which is a considerable amount considering that some homes are 200, 300, 400,000. But simply buying it using your write-offs, because the government does incentivize home purchases, is the best way. Once it continues to pay down, and as you pay it down, and as the equity builds, and you have that appreciation, the difference, that money can be used in a cash-out refinance to purchase another property, to allow for your 20% down for the next investment property. Or you can leave that one behind to purchase another property as your new homestead, and you start leaving a trail of rental properties behind you.
So start off by living in the house.
Buy it, live in it, make the payments.
Okay. Now, what are some do's and don'ts for somebody starting out in real estate investment? Because there's always pitfalls. There's always pitfalls in everything. What are some do's and don'ts?
There's a few cautions. One is to use as little of your own money as possible, so that buying as a homestead for 3.5% down versus an investment 20% would always be a good idea. If at all possible, use as little of your own money as possible. The second one is trying to find a home within a circle of good, and what that basically means is close to where you live. If I don't live near Cal Allen and I purchase a rental in Cal Allen just because it's a good deal, I probably am not going to check on it. I can't take care of the property as well, out of sight, out of mind. So make sure that you try to purchase something that's close to you. Try to purchase something that you can take on. Understand that real estate homes specifically have repairs, and it's pretty frequent. If you don't have a little bit of a nest egg put away and a roof starts to leak, then you can lose your entire investment. Make sure that you're insured. Make sure that the entire value of the home is insured. Make sure that you have a good team. That's a strong do for real estate investors. And by team, of course, I would advocate a realtor or broker, but also insurance is extremely important. Having the right lender or the right banker is extremely important. Knowing a reputable and trustworthy contractor is absolutely essential. Having a property manager, if that's the direction that you choose to go, can also be your realtor or broker. It could be someone independent. Those are generally the do's. One of the things that I would strongly recommend is having a mentor, having somebody that has already done it, that can help you in the process. That can be a realtor, but it can also be somebody else, like my grandmother who's been doing it for 50, 60 years. I would advocate that you take a lot of trips to the bookstore. That the Half Price and Barnes & Noble have all kinds of books on real estate investing. Fill up your library. There's fantastic advice in all those books.
So it's not something to jump into lightly.
No, definitely plan for it. You're taking on a home, but you're also taking on a business. You have write-offs just like a business, you have expenses and you have income. The IRS certainly sees it like a business. So anyone who ever starts a business should do it wisely, and I think purchasing a home is certainly one of those.
Well, Rick, it sounds like you are on the ball here and gave me a lot of good information, gave us a lot of good information here. Perhaps some people would want to invest in real estate, or perhaps some people might want to call you. How would they get in contact with you?
Always welcome to call me at my cell phone. That's 361-728-8362. You can visit my website, rickgomez.com. My company also has a website, gomezproperties.com, and that number is 992-SALE.
992-SALE.
Yes, sir.
Rick, thank you for coming on the show.
It's been my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.